Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Arc Trial and Prix du Moulin preview, all taking place at Longchamp on Sunday. Daniel is rushing to get the train after this to go, so he will be reporting live from the track on what will be really a very, very interesting day's racing. The Moulin is a lot hotter than we expected. The Arc Trials are all got a lot of intrigue, and we are very much looking forward to talking about them. So, Daniel, I'm guessing you're very excited for the day.
Very. I like to go to the trials when I can. Don't go every year, but this year I think they're really meaningful. There have been some absolutely rubbish ones in the last 10, 15 years that I've been following them closely. This year's an exception. Yeah, very excited.
And
Just in terms of their meaningfulness and impact for October, just worth pointing out that the Prix Foy, which is the one for older horses, has an absolutely shocking record in producing art winners. Waldgeist did sort of buck that trend about 5-6 years ago. Before that, I think you got a winner in the 1980s, and before that, there's one more in the last 80 years. It's really poor. That said, it's a strong field, the strongest that I remember for a while. The Vermeille, people obviously remember last year, blue stocking doubling up, but we've had sort of 2 or 3 others in the last 15 years. Is it Trev did it? Zakava. So that can be meaningful. Of course, it's a Group 1. That's the only one of the trusts. It's a Group 1, so it's logical that maybe the quality is there. And the Niel has had the best record. It's produced a dozen winners in the last 70, 80 years, but none for the last 20. So, yeah, in other words, the first weekend in October, maybe the victorious horse may not have been there for the trials a month before.
Yeah, we'll also definitely have some impact on the Champion Stakes as well. I know Alan McCann's obviously running in the Foy, and depending on how he gets the trip or not will dictate whether he goes to the Arc or the Champion Stakes. So, yeah, interesting races in their own right, but also have a fair bit of consequence for the month of October. And we'll start with the Prix de Foy, or just Prix Foy. Sosie is our 11-4 favourite for the Arc last year. What do you make of his chances this year? He disappointed at Sandown, and the trainer was very quick to say it was never a track that would suit him. And I was really confused as to why he was run there if they were already making excuses before he went. But it was something to do with running it for the breeze, but they didn't make sense. So Sosie 11-4 for the Prix Foy. Is he going to bounce back, or will this just be treated as a trial?
Quick question before I do that. Shall I say something quickly about the ground?
Yes, that's a good idea.
So as of this morning, Saturday morning, about 10 a.m., the going stick has changed very slightly. It is drying quite slowly. So the ground is still souple, which, although that means technically, linguistically soft, it's more like good to soft in English speak. They're expecting a mixture of good to soft for good by race time tomorrow. I'm nervous, as I'll explain later. I've got a few soft ground positions, expecting softer ground than I think we're going to get. It's close to a heat wave this weekend. I'm going in shorts and a t-shirt, and that's all I'm going to need. It's 25, 26 today. It's going to be 28 tomorrow. Sun out. The annoying thing is we can't quite call how fast this ground will be. Fastest, it could just even be on the fast side of good without being rattling. But then it could be on the slow side of good as well. I don't know, and so there's ambiguity there. With that in mind, Sosie, Longchamp figures of 111, 411, 6, 4th in the Arc last year, won this trial last year after a break, which is interesting because they've said the idea of this race is to get him in the best possible shape for 4 weeks' time. Feels like a prep, but I can definitely excuse Sandown. In the Eclipse, forced to make his own run. It's the first time in his life on really fast ground, probably the fastest ground he's encountered. It just wasn't for him. I think there's a throwout. He's looked good again this season, picked up a couple of Group 1s at over the sort of shorter distance, looked really good at his best. The only thing you fear for this one is really soft ground, which is why he finished 4th last year. He's got his ground today. I can't quite take him at 11-4, believing that this is a prep. But of course, he did win it last year after a break.
Yep. Next in the betting is Los Angeles at 3-1. Disappointed at Ascot, then disappointed on his comeback in the Royal Whip. Is he still bearing the impression of such a difficult race at Ascot?
Aidan O'Brien doesn't think so. The plan is to get it back for the art. Yeah, the Prince of Wales was a disaster, and we don't need to go in the fact that again, that we've talked about this before, suicidal pace, and he paid. Then had a break, brought back for basically it was a gallop. They knew he was going to lose that race quite clearly, and it was the worst race he's run this year, duly. But then this race, from listening to the press thing that Ballydoyle had on Monday, the language was a little bit difficult to decipher, but I got from Aidan that this is only the next stepping stone on the route to full fitness. That's what I took from that. So I don't want him here at 3-1 with that in mind. When he first came out, a lot of people plunging in at sort of 92 and thinking that was a mad price. Maybe that was, but 3-1 now, no. This fella, he could lose this race, and maybe his art price will go out. I'll probably have some of that art price if that's what happened. That's the way I want to bet him. I don't want to bet him today to win this 3-1.
Yeah. The art price has been quite interesting all year. I think it's about 25-1 right now, which, as I say, probably isn't likely to shorten today, but it could well be attractive come Arc Day. Was quite disappointed from having position on Los Angeles for the Arc when they announced that Mini Hawk's target will be the Arc. Suspect she'd get the number one jockey in, so it makes you question how Los Angeles is training.
Yeah, the only thing you'd say there is if it comes up what I call October soft, I don't think Many Hawk will run, and I don't think Los Angeles will care at all. No problem for him, soft ground.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Fingers crossed for more rain.
Coming back to your first point about this, we still don't quite know whether that Prince of Wales left a mark. So yeah, it is possible that not only was he dull on return because he wasn't fit, that he's like been properly bottomed by that Prince of Wales. Another reason not to back him today.
Yeah. Almacam next in the betting at 11-2. I think we put him up either on our Twitter or an article at 80s for the Arc. So we'll be hoping for a big run from him here. This will dictate, as mentioned earlier, whether he goes to the Champion Stakes or whether he goes to Arc. What are we expecting from Almacam? Will he stay?
I don't know the answer to that. Will he stay? Ed Walker doesn't know the answer to that, and he has slight doubts, but he's hopeful. I just think this horse is very, very classy, and a horse who's beaten Ombudsman by a couple of lengths, albeit Ombudsman was carrying a £3 penalty, has to be taken seriously. He's brilliant in the Brigadier Gerard. He can even make his own running, but he won't have to with a pacemaker for Los Angeles here. I confess I really waded in when they priced this up with a chunky each way. I'm getting a tiny bit nervous about this really hot weekend. Coming back to my point about not knowing how the ground is. If it's absolutely good with juice or softer, I think this is definitely worth playing. But if it's too fast, last time out, he was dreadful, but that's totally forgivable. That York Stakes, they were advertising good soft in places. It's been re-rated by Timeform as good to firm. It was proper fast summer ground there, and a lot of complainers and others, observers, complained about the rating of that ground. I think that is a throw-out, but I don't know how fast it's going to be tomorrow.
World champion, a good horse, I think, a really talented horse in its own right, so wouldn't be too dismissive of that run. Map of Stars is next in the betting at 11-2. He's a horse for some reason I just don't really seem to like. He's been quite disappointing in comparison to the reputation that he's held. Do you think he will prove me wrong tomorrow?
I am interested in this one. As people may remember, I was interested in this guy for Prince of Wales. I had quite chunky each way bet on him for the 3 places. And of course, he was 4th. He didn't run well on fast ground. That was after two good wins in the spring, and then a very close second to Sosie, and I'm going to say the Gannet when he was flying late. Step up to 12 furlongs. Interesting. That's an experiment. Greffard doesn't know. What's worrying is after his Prince of Wales, he was then poor in Munich. He was raced in Germany and went off as heavy favourite and flopped. I don't know why. He's been having a break since then. I will point out he's 2 from 2 fresh. This guy winning would not surprise me, and he's one I might play on Sunday depending on what the ground is. I think I'll kind of handle anything, but yeah, as I say, I don't know the situation for Almacam. Still think he's dangerous. He has 2 disappointments to bounce back from.
Okay. Next in the betting, we've got Byzantine Dream, Japanese horse with sort of middling Japanese form and has been running over trips of 2 miles, 1 mile 7 recently. It feels very hard to judge him, but I think the bookmakers at 13-2 are probably slightly short.
Yeah, I was reading through this guy's form with I'm watching some of his back races with interest. I mean, he's really, really top class over 2 miles. It is Group 1 goes sort of first and second in sort of 2 mile races in Japan. We know how deep the middle and staying distance turf ranks of horses are in Japan. It's just like the world powerhouse, arguably. But over 12 furlongs, not quite the same. He won the Red Sea Turf Handicap back in February, carrying a big weight, 1 mile 7, I think that was. Is 12 furlongs too short? That's the question. That said, his sire and his dam sire both won the Japan Cup. He's bred to run this distance, and I fear him as Japanese. But then I read in this morning's last night came out today's Paris Turf that this is the sole purpose of him running in this race is to prepare him for a month's time. So that is code in my language for he's not fit. He's not 100% for this. If he were to win this, blimey, what a player we've got, whatever. But I do think 13-2 is short enough. I will be avoiding this one.
Okay. Next in betting, Arrow Eagle at 9-1, and he's unbeaten this season. Can you see that continuing?
This fella's exciting. Yeah, this year his form figures are 1, 1, 1, 1. He was disappointing last year. I think they were preparing for the jockey club, weren't they? And he just blew out, and that just didn't happen. Maybe too much too soon. Had a big break. Yeah, this season, fine. It's only a G3 and a G2. He's won in his last 2. But worth noting, the horse he beat narrowly in both those has since come out and like spanked a decent field in another G2, Sibayan. So the form looks really good. He's a half brother to Ace Impact. And I was getting really excited when the prices came out and I saw 14s. I jumped straight in, and I was thinking of going in for more. But then I read what Rouget says this morning that, like, and I'll also mention later, this guy's only 80% because he has only one target in mind. Guess what? The Arc in a month's time. So now he's single figures. I don't regret having gone in for 14s, but I wouldn't recommend him now. Having read that, changes my view. Otherwise, very interesting. Yeah. By the way, this will absolutely fascinating. They often get this wrong, but the morning line makers Paris Turf predicting the PMU odds make this guy favourite.
Wow!
So that's just something in the esteem to which he's held. For all the newspapers are picking either Sosie or Los Angeles, basically.
Okay, we'll quickly move on to Iracine at 25s. 8-year-olds would probably be looking for softer ground, wouldn't
he? Probably. He does have some form on ground that's not rattling fast. I would have been very excited about this one, and I would have written and I'll put him up in on the website as a bet. His last 4 years, he's run this race 4 times running: 3rd, 1st, 2nd, 1st. This guy kind of owns this race almost, but yeah, he's 8. He's not getting any younger. This is a much stronger Foy than the 2 he won and the one he came second as a runner-up in. And crucially, I've been reading the last 10 days, he was a doubt for making this race at all, hasn't had the ideal preparation per trainer. So reluctantly, no. But 25-1 with that record, you just do. If some of the others don't turn up, I wouldn't be surprised to see this guy in the frame. The other 2 are throwouts. Mont Saint Michel's pacemaker, rated just a 1.5 or more below these, and Cheeky Boy, I've no idea. He's from a trainer I've never heard of, ridden by a jockey I've never heard of, and he's won a listed race at Vichy this year. So Central France track. I don't know what he's doing here. I don't understand it. Unless they've suddenly found something exciting on the gallops about this horse. It looks like a 100-1 tilt at windmills.
Yeah, I see how Marvin Grandin gets on Cheeky Boy, but will not have any financial interest in him. We'll quickly move on to the Prix du Moulin. We'll drop back and trip down to a mile. And somewhat surprisingly, Rosallion is at the head of the market. We did not really expect to see him turn up here. I feel Hannon is probably looking to squeeze a Group 1 in as a 4-year-old, and this will be an easier contest than the Breeders' Cup Mile. The quick turnaround after disappointing where he got another bad trip at York. How do you think that's going to impact his race here?
I don't know, but it is, it's less than 3 weeks, isn't it? My basic view about this horse is 4 runs this season, such a reputation, and he hasn't won any of them. Now, there's an excuse for each one of them, but how many times can you go on giving different excuses? He did run brilliantly here. It was a brilliant win of the Lagardère on Arc Day, so track no problem. The drying ground works for him. I get it. I'm just not, every time this season I see Rosallion and all the noise about Rosallion and the short price about Rosallion, I just think I'm not going there with all that noise. Maybe tomorrow costs me, but I'm not going to him at 11-4.
Okay, Henry Matisse next in the betting, or only Matisse Bonnell at 3-1. He is the best of the 3-year-olds in here. But by quite a considerable way. Ran respectably behind Field of Gold in the St. James's Palace Stakes. I'm starting to question the 3-year-old mile form and wondering if it looked a bit better than it first appeared, with horses like Jonquil, fairly disappointing, Shadow of Light, fairly disappointing, Ruling Court, rest in peace, obviously didn't go on from his Guineas win. What do you make of Henri Matisse at 3-1? I know you've been a fan of him all season.
Yeah, torn. He was poor in that crazy Sussex Stakes, wasn't it? He didn't seem to look very happy on the tracks. That's what O'Brien thought, and he was off the pace and whatever. But he still wasn't great. His run behind Field of Gold, he was thumped in the St James Palace, but according to Timeform, RPRs, according to the clock, it was an absolutely sensational performance. It was the best performance put up by any horse in this field over a mile, other than Rosallion's beating of Longfellow a year before, which is highly rated, which in the rearview mirror doesn't look so good. I think he's really, really good. Yeah, just last time, just kind of have to forgive that. And he wasn't great in Paris a year ago. His only visit there, he was short. I think he was favourite for Lagardère, wasn't he? That Camille Pizarro won, only 5th. That was much softer ground. We know that he likes fast ground. Like Rosallion's coming in his favour. I'm torn. I won't bet him. Of course he can win.
Okay, Dalton Gemini next in betting 5-1. Ground probably not going his way, but do you still like him at 5s?
I do. I backed him. I like him. You get 4 places on this race with Bet365, Flutter Pair, Sky Bet and Paddy Power and Boyle Sports. He's had one disappointment backing up in the Queen Anne after that ferocious pace Lockinge when both he and Lead Artist underperformed. All his other races this season look really good to me. Big figures, big on the clock too. I think what he wants not to have, even though he did get it last time in the Moulin, he doesn't want rattling fast ground. Don't think he'll get that here. I think he's going to run his race. I think he's going to get a big one at some stage. And I think tomorrow could be the day.
Yep. Lead Artist is next in betting at 7-1. He is obviously a Lockinge winner, but has disappointed either side of that race. But been off for a while. How do you see him coming back here?
As you say, disappointing either side of that. The race we put him up for at a big price on one of these videos. Was he 16s or something like that when we mentioned
25s.
Right.
Yeah.
For the Lockinge, amazing price on the day. But he's never won fresh, and he's fresh. And I don't know, kind of, Gossip's perfectly capable of getting a horse to run well first time out. But I can't go there. He was, so poor each side of the Lockinge win with the gap. Fourth favourite. No, I'll pass.
Yep. Cool. Coudoir next in betting 11-1, a horse that we've put up for the Queen Elizabeth second stakes.
Or 40-1. Yeah.
Yep. So we'll be hoping for a big run here. I had a nice, probably one of my biggest eyes each way bets, 3 places, 10-1. So very sad to see he's now 11s, 4 places. Was expecting Rosallion not to be entered, but there we go. So I think the 11-1, 4 places is quite interesting still, isn't it?
So do I. I'm like you, and I went in on this one. We didn't even talk about it, did we? I went in 8-1, 3 places, 11-1, 4 places. Like you. But what slightly worries me again is this ground question. If it was a notch softer and it wasn't so hot and sunny, I'd be all over this one. I think I'd be above Dancing Gemini as a bet. I think this would be the other must play. I'm just a bit nervous now, and I want to go back in again. It's a bigger price because I think it's wrong price. But he doesn't need soft, but anything resembling fast ground, and he seems to underperform. So I'm nervous. I think he's a really good man. By the way, he's lightly raced for a 5-year-old, 9 runs, 6 wins, and 2 of his losses have been on good firm ground. And he's got really good form in France. So yeah, a lot to like if it doesn't dry too much.
Yeah. Fingers crossed for I don't know, a lack of evaporation on Longchamp. The line and Winter was next in the betting at 11-1. And he's a horse we've talked about a lot this year. Are we ready to just move on and accept that he's not that good, or is 11-1 a big enough price for you to stay interested?
There'll be some who believe that the chosen one over the winter will bounce back, like chosen ones like City of Troy and Rodin bounced back from disappointments before. But this guy's reputation is basically built on one run, which is that Acom Stakes at York, in which really caught was well beaten as the favourite, who might not have turned up that day, I don't know. I will think he always had too big a reputation, and it's been a really, really disappointing season. He was better, wasn't he, in the Jean Prat? That was a really good run, and the next year fell on the time. But then, was he last in the Jacques Le Maron?
He was beating 10 lengths.
How can you? No, yeah, he'll have to win without me anywhere near him.
Yeah, I think the blame's making the running with him for his performance last time out, despite the fact he made the running in his best performance, the Acom. So, yeah, a bit of a difficult horse. The line of Winter, an expensive one to be following. Salan is next in the betting at 20-1. A horse, I'll be honest, I'm not very familiar with. So, could you tell us a bit about him?
Yeah, alarm bells are ringing for this one, as in positive alarm bells in my mind. He's lightly raised. He flopped in the French 2000 Guineas and then had another poor run at Chantilly. But he's come back. And Graffard, here's the thing. Graffard really, really likes this horse. And we know what, we're not ammunition Graffard has in his stable. And he's supplemented for this. And he's Al Shakab, can't even pronounce that, Al something owned. I thought it was maybe the owners supplementing. But reading today's Paris-Toff, it's Graffard who's supplementing. And he says, I've always thought a huge amount of this horse. And I think it's worth a go. Doesn't want soft ground. Ground seems to be going his way. 20-1. I've had a little each way nibble at the 4 places. Yeah, I don't quite see it on the form because his last win, which was good, G2, it fell apart the pace, and he picked up the pieces along with a couple of other horses. And the bare form doesn't give him a show in this, but something about Graffard's confidence. And I rarely take this angle, but I'm going to go with a bit of trainer confidence here. I'm going to have a little bit of supplementee at 20s.
Interesting. And then moving on, any of the outsiders, Alcantor 22s, Go to First 33s, Mahaba Sanafi 33s, Persica 40s, and Serengeti the Pacemaker 200s.
Chuck out the Pacemaker, although a dangerous thing to do this year. Chuck out Mahaba Sanafi, who was a shock winner of the French 2000 2 years ago. Pretty much nothing he's done since gives him a prayer in this. Don't like him. Go to First. Don't know why they brought this horse over from Japan, who's just been well beaten in a couple of Group 3s, but he did come 5th in the Marois for his first run in 6 months. Just watching this with interest. I still don't see it, but why did they bring him over? That was a much better run than I thought, and many people thought he'd been put in the Marois. If you can improve that, who knows? Persica, I put 5 each way at 40s when they opened this market 5 days ago, thinking we get soft ground, and we ain't going to get soft ground. So I'm not going to put it in the bin because, but Persica's best form. If he's ever going to step up to this level, it's going to be with Dig, but he convinces others, and I don't think there'll be enough of it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. We'll quickly move on to the Prix Vermeille. Only 5 horses here, or 6 horses, but a strong field. Whirl, arguably one of the star 3-year-old. Well, she's definitely one of the star 3-year-old fillies of the season. It'll be fascinating to see her in a rematch against Minnie Hawk, and she is a strong 5-6 favourite here for Christophe Soumillon and Aidan O'Brien.
No, wouldn't touch it. Wouldn't touch it. Well, odds on anyway. I'm not going to touch that anyway.
Yeah.
But her high rating. She's the top rated filly in this, or mare in this field by any of the organisations that judge these things. But her best race, according to them, is the last one out. That is a throw-out race. That told us nothing at all. It was a nonsense flag start, which the distance she beat the other horses by was the same distance she was ahead after 100 yards. And I'm not saying Whirl looks the best of these on paper. She's the right favourite and she can win. But I just think that those market, the sort of, the concertina or whatever you call it, odds, it's gone far too wide. She doesn't have that much in hand, unless you believe that was a world-beating performance in strange weather with a crazy flag start at Goodwood, which I don't. She's very, very good. Maybe she wins this. But odds on, no, there's some good fillies here.
Yeah, well, I wonder if what is in her favour is the greater inkling of the French trainers who are the closest competitors in the market to use these races as a trial, whereas Aidan O'Brien, it's rare that he runs his horses fully at 80% in Group 1 contests.
Well, yeah, I mean, she will presumably still fit because she hasn't had a seasonal break or anything. Wasn't. I mean, I suppose it's been Goodwood, hasn't it? It's been 5 weeks. But I mean, she goes well fresh, and she came out in the. Hang on, you tell me, was her brilliant Musadora run? Was that her first or her second run?
No, it wasn't. It was the second. She was quite disappointing first time out. It looks like she came 6th here.
Yeah. Okay. Slow to come down. Maybe another reason. The other question is, of course, it was pretty clear what's going to happen on the pace front. None of these want to go forward. There's no pacemaker. Whirl's going to do Whirl's thing, right? So she's got to get the fractions just right and hold all these off. By the way, new jockey, first time ever. I don't think it's a plus. I mean, he's brilliant, Soumillon, but I can't see that as don't construe that as a positive.
Yeah.
No, I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical at the price. I'm not skeptical about her position as favourite, which is justified.
Yep. Aventura then is next in the betting at 7-2. A horse we are keen on at 16-1 for the Arc. That price will probably go if she wins here. And can you see that happening?
It will definitely go if she wins here. She was second in this race last year to a horse called Blue Stocking. She then came second in the Arc to a horse called Blue Stocking. Longchamp, her playground. She always runs well there. She's 7-2. She was 4-1 yesterday, and I had a chunky bet on that. I've got a bit more nervous in 24 hours about the way the ground's going. She'll handle anything. She was on pretty fast ground. She was second to Clandeghan last time, albeit well beaten, three lengths or so. But she's too good to be 4-1 versus 5-6. That's my take. I still think Whirl is the more likely winner, but that's not what betting and odds is all about. It's about whether it's 5-6 and 4-1. And I think, personally, I think they should be 11-8 and I don't know, 11-4 or 5-2. Do you see what I mean? I just think 4 is too big.
Yeah, cool. Gazora is 4-1. Last time out won the French Oaks. Quite a long break then. That was at the beginning of June, where I can see her being out the back and then staying on, but never really threatening. How do you think the race is going to play out for Gazora?
I don't like Gazora here at all. So yeah, she'll win and I'll lose. I don't like the way, even though it's Group 1, I don't think she's pitch perfect for that 3-month break straight into this with the view on the Arc, which they've got a free win and you're in for having won the Diane. Don't like that angle. Don't like the fact that she's here with Bedtime Story, who we'll get to. There was very little between them in the Diane, the French Oaks. What the difference on the day was one had stall 1 and one had the outside stall, which is material, significantly material. I would argue strongly the Bedtime Story was the better horse on that day, and that break 4-1, same price as Aventure. No, not interested.
Yeah, it definitely feels a bit short. Given Bedtime Story is 4 times the price, and as you mentioned, was potentially best horse on the day. But she's a horse, Bedtime Story, that we followed quite closely and is on the cusp of becoming a cliff horse for us. And that will probably be determined by whether you're taking another step towards the edge here. 16-1.
James, I'm not taking a step towards the edge. I've jumped off. I've jumped off again. This is my cliff horse of the season, and I keep on saying there's excuses. I'm going to do a sort of Rosallion, really. There's an excuse every time. There genuinely is. So a brilliant run in the Diane to come close second, flying late from a horrible draw in a massive field. Chuck out that Nassau. She was beaten a long way, but she was beaten no more than she was behind after the crappy flag start. Total disgrace, industry disgrace. I mean, don't get me started on that again. Then last time I actually watched it and was very disappointed. Backed her again. Then I rewatched it. I didn't see it first time. She's tracked to nowhere to go. I don't know if she would have won. And you would have liked to see her, go very, very close to stand a chance in this. But I still think there's something in this. The risk, by the way, is going up to 12 furlongs. She's Frankel, Mecca's Angel. She's half-sister to Content, Group 1 winner over 12. So I think it's worth a go. I played her each way. I can't resist. I'm jumped over the cliff, James, again.
Yeah. Well, I'll be calling the Coast Guard. And next event, we've got Sosie at 20-1. A horse that we put up for I forget the name, Pretty Polly at the Curragh. She stayed on well, but didn't quite look like she had the class to win a Group 1. Do you have a conflicting opinion to me?
No, not really. Yeah, we put her up at 25, but we said it was an each way for the ages, and she duly got the each way money. But yeah, no, she looked nothing like as good as Whirl and Kalpana. That's not a disgrace to lose to those two, but she's been beaten by Whirl and Aventure this season, different races by about 3 lengths. Difficult to see it back. The only thing I'd say is, odds being odds, 20 is getting quite big. If there's a shock, would I fall off my chair with flabbergasted surprise if Sosie were to win this? No, 20 is probably too big. I can't. I've got a back 2 in this race, in the 7-horse race. I can't back a third. I would just say 20s feels long. Incidentally, she was second in the French Oaks last year. She's got quite a lot of form, and fast ground is good for her, so the ground is going her way. Not impossible.
Yeah, maybe an angle in here is playing Sosie Bedtime Story, seeing if you can find some match bets against Gazora, who looked far too short, and I'm not quite sure what the equations are for actual odds versus match betting odds, but I feel you'd get a good price on that. I'm guessing we're not going to touch on Ginalia or Ginalia.
No. Yeah. Cool. She couldn't even place in a couple of Group 3s recently. It's like, what's she doing?
Yeah. Cool.
Well, if they're only, if I know another one falls out because stubs a toe, you might be prize money down to 5th. That might be the answer.
Yeah. Interesting. Qatar Prix Niel is the next, and we have got Lefar as the favourite at 2-1. Winner at a big price for us early in the season. 2-1 is quite a lot shorter now, though, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it was our YouTube video. 28, I think I was saying, is in on that for the Grand Prix de Paris, and he duly did the business. So this guy, couple of wins in the provinces, then second to Nitoy, who we'll come to in the Suresnes, goes to the Jockey Club with Rouget's Hopes, and he flops. He's 15th, 18th. He's really bad. That's why he was a big prize. But clearly he's one of the best colts in their stable. And he ran really well in the Grand Prix de Paris because Trinity College had gone clear, and he was the only one who could bridge that gap. It was impressive. And I have a strong view on him here. I absolutely avoid him like the plague. I don't do this, but because I'm not the kind of person, but if I was, I would lay him. I would lay him at 2-1. I don't do this, and that's not a recommendation, because effectively then, you're taking a 1 to 3 shot, stuff like that. But this guy is not fit for this race. He is 80% with just one thing in mind, a month's time. I don't, maybe an 80% fit Lefar, if he's as talented as he looked last time, is enough to get it done. I can't go near him.
Okay, next in the betting is Qualificar. Best race came in the French Derby, arguably, then was disappointing afterwards. William Buick on board for Andre Fabre. What do you make of 11-4?
Godolphin Farb. It's sort of it's an impressive starting point with his CV this year. His 2 defeats when he was in a debut late last year, but when he was also an immature horse. 3 wins this spring before he goes and finishes second to Pizarro in the Jockey Club. It's a good performance. Then he's put away for this Sosa Classic. Come back and give him a break. So but he has had one run, but it was a really poor one on reply. It was the Guillaume d'Ornano, and I think did he go favourite for this? I'm not sure, but he was pretty dull in that race. It flopped basically. Now, yeah, behind Aloy Ali, the Japanese, and Rashabar. Maybe he was, a bit like Los Angeles for last time or whatever. Maybe he just wasn't fit. So maybe he does just go and win this, and the French press seems to think he's the one to beat. And I get it. I just don't like that race last time. So again, 11-4, I'll pass.
Yep. Tennessee started next in the betting at 6-1. Has finished behind Lambourne and Delacroix this season without ever threatening. Hopefully, for the quality of the race sake, he's not good enough to win this at 6s.
I don't think so. He is actually, I think, a Group 1 winner, but an incredibly poor. Was it 3 runner or something like that? Group 1 in France. When is it 2-year-old? Is that
the end of season, sort of 10 furlong.
Yeah.
Green Storm and heavy ground over 10 furlongs.
Yeah, his best runs as a 2-year-old and as a 3-year-old, right, in the Derby was when there was to dig in the ground. So I think the ground, was looking interesting for this. Now I think the ground's gone against him. I'm going to pass. He hasn't hit the heights. Maybe just maybe. I'm not completely ruling him out, but again, I'll reluctantly pass. Now the ground has gone, I think, against him.
Yeah. Only note of interest is the fact they're going here and not for the Ledger, which you would have thought would make sense for him, given he won over 10 furlongs as a 2-year-old, and that looks more likely to get soft ground. Not entirely on top of the forecast, but yeah. Swagman, not seen since the Bet365 Classic trial at Sandown at the beginning of the season, where he beat Winlord by 3/4 of a length. Have you heard any comments from Aidan O'Brien on how he's expected to run?
No, I haven't. So that'll come out tonight and worth watching. I mean, normally you wouldn't touch an AOB after sort of 6-month break, going straight into a Group 1. I'm back, other than back in the day when he used to do his Guineas winners like that. But the only thing you could say about him is that his one run this season, it was first time out and he won it, right? That Sandown trial. So I don't get the feeling that they're excited by this colt, and I won't be betting him. But it just does stick in the mind that he's got the P, the only one of the top 6 or 7 in the betting to have the Timeform P, potential for plenty of improvement. Just gets me thinking. Frankly, the French press like him. Maybe that's just fearing the senior O'Brien runner. But yeah, I couldn't quite get there. But after a 6-month break.
Okay. Parachutiste is next in the betting. Ashim Murphy on board. Will he swoop over the line in first?
He was thrown straight into the Jockey Club on his second start after debut, which was quite a wild move. He didn't disgrace himself, 10th of 18th. So obviously think of a lot of this one. But he was last of 6 to Darius in the race that basically Roller was second to Darius and ran very well. So bit difficult to see. Did win last time out. It was a weak listed race at Clairefontaine, which is what I call Deauville's B track. It doesn't give him a say in this. It's just something about his profile that I don't know. He's a shock. He's a potential shocker. It wouldn't be a complete surprise, but I haven't backed him. I like the ones further down the betting.
And let's move our way further down the betting then to Bay City Roller at 14-1.
Yeah, backed him. I wish that it hadn't been going the drying ground as much as it has. I'm happy to completely throw out his 6th or 7th in the York Stakes. As per previous, that was advertised ground, which was completely different from the rattling fast summer ground it was. He was unbeaten as a 2-year-old with a Group 2 win. Good behind Opera Ballo on his return. Really good run and almost beat Darius. I know Darius flopped in the whatever, but I do think that's a classy horse. Up to 12 furlongs. I can see a bit of shocking coming in here, possibly, if there's enough give for him not to be any jar on the ground, which hopefully there is. I backed him, and I'm quite excited about this one.
Okay, and Nitoy also at 14-1, put up at 25s. Are you still excited at 14s?
No, you kindly availed me of some 25s with someone I can't bet with, but by the time we wrote the article, we put him up at 20s. Yeah, and I think 20-1, we thought that just seemed to me to be all wrong. There's something about the profile of this horse, specifically. It's one big piece of form which has just worked out unbelievably. So yeah, one on the Prix de Sirène, he beats Leffard, New Ground, and Azinport, and they go on to run blinders in 3 different Group 1s on their next start, or the start off. So the Grand Prix de Paris Group 1 was won by Leffard, and he's now 2-1 favourite in this. New Ground is he 3rd in the Derby or 4th in the Derby? Eye-catching. Yeah, and Azinport's flying in the finish after a dreadful start in the Prix du Jockey Club. That form looks really good. For some reason, he was dismal. I mean, from a bad draw in the Jockey Club, and only 2nd on his return. That was after a break. I think now we could see the best of Nitoy, and it's a bit of a flyer, but I think there's a strong possibility he can shop this race. And I thought 20s was madness not to find out. 14 isn't quite as attractive, but put it this way, if I hadn't backed him thanks to 25s and we hadn't reckoned 20s, I just came to this fresh, I probably still might have a little each way on him at 14s. He might simply not be good enough, but there's such alarm bells ringing about that form line. I think he's a good, the Wertheimer, the other Farb. Yeah, I had to recommend him.
Okay, yeah, a race which looks like it's worth having a play in at a slightly bigger price given the abundance of question marks at the front of the betting. And we will bring ourselves finally to Aftermath at 22-1 for Aidan O'Brien and Wayne Lorden. Will he be a pacemaker for Swagman? He hasn't run this season.
Don't understand it. Yeah, we haven't seen this guy for a year.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lovely breeding, a Justified Galileo mare. Obviously was high hopes. He's 3rd to Bay City Roller in a Group 2 on his only 2nd start after becoming 2nd in a maiden. We haven't seen him for a year, but is he going to do pacemaking duties? Maybe he is. Or is he here on his own merits? I don't know. I don't know what to make of this one. I'm not going to back him, but yeah, intriguing.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, that takes us through every race that will be, all the big trials and the Moulin on Sunday at Longchamp. Comprehensive coverage of all of them. And yeah, do you want to give us 1 or 2 horses across the 4 that you're most excited to see live in the flesh?
Yeah. I'd also like to make a specific betting point about some of the shorties in the betting, and to make this as a general point. In both the male art trials, the Niel for the 3-year-olds and the Foy for the older ones, if you're toying with the idea of Leffard Qualificat in the Niel or Los Angeles Sosie in the Foy, I would strongly urge you not to, and back them in the Arc instead, because they're really big prices. Relative to what they are here. They're very short in the betting competitive races here. There's great doubts over some of their fitness and readiness for this as opposed to 4 weeks' time. I just think they're quite, and none of them are unattractive prices in the big one, but I don't think they're quite unattractive here. So that's what I'd say about the front of the betting there. Yeah, I'm taking outside Bay City Roller and Nitoy in the Niel. In the Foy, avoiding the very top of the market, Almaquam and Arrow Eagle, but I'm now nervous having backed that with the ground, with the fitness question. So I'm not recommending that. In the Moulin, I do like Dancing Gemini, and I do like Coudoir if the ground is still okay. Sarlan, Wild Supplementee, I'm going to be drawn in. Whirl is too short, Aventure is too long, and Bedtime Story at 16. So I'm going to go there again.
Yeah. Hopefully, Bedtime Story gets it just right this time. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Hell of a pod. As mentioned in the last couple, we'll be speaking to you quite a lot in the next month or so. Big busy time of the year. So please subscribe. Please follow us on Twitter to get all the live updates, the articles. Subscribe to our emails as well. They're the first move normally. So comment what you're betting on Sunday and what you're excited to see and how you think it will impact the ARC, etc. Interested to hear what you have to say. And thank you very much, Daniel. Good luck on your travels. Have a great time.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. All right. Goodbye.